It began, as most great discoveries do, with a blip. A strange anomaly tucked away in a forgotten quadrant of satellite data. For years, it had been dismissed as an error. Something about the atmospheric reflection, or maybe a malfunction in the imaging equipment. But one persistent scientist, an oceanographer named Dr. Alina Morales, wasn't convinced. She zoomed in, cross-referenced data, and ran simulations. The shape was too structured to be coincidence. It looked like land. And not just a small island or an underwater mountain, but a massive formation, hundreds of kilometers wide, hidden beneath layers of mist and storm systems that had shielded it from eyes and radars alike. When her findings were published, the scientific world buzzed with skepticism. Impossible, some said. Everything has been mapped. But the skeptics were silenced when a multinational expedition was launched 6 months later, cutting through fog that swallowed the horizon and navigating currents that seemed almost sentient in their resistance. The ship Odysseus reached what would come to be known as Terra Aurora. It was a land out of time. The crew stepped onto a shoreline unlike any they'd seen. Black sand, shimmering with minerals unknown. Trees that reached like spires toward the sky, their bark iridescent and warm to the touch. Creatures scuttled away on too many legs, while birds with kaleidoscope wings sang in chords rather than notes. This wasn't just a new continent. It was a biological vault, untouched by human interference, a pristine world with its own rules and history. News spread like wildfire. First came disbelief, then awe, and then ambition. The United Nations convened emergency sessions. Scientists clamored for access. Nations jostled diplomatically, each hopping to stake a claim or at the very least a place at the table. The press called it the Second Earth. Children dreamed of becoming explorers. Economists whispered about riches untapped, and some politicians talked of reclaiming what had been ours all along, though no one could explain how. Back on Terra Aurora, researchers began documenting species unlike anything cataloged on Earth. A bioluminescent fungus that glowed in intricate geometric patterns at night, perhaps communicating with the trees around it. Mammals that used ultraviolet flashes to signal across vast distances. Even the air was different, rich in particles that enhanced cognitive functions temporarily, leading some to believe the land itself was somehow alive. Evolutionary biologists were stunned. These species didn't follow the known tree of life. DNA sequences were familiar, yet foreign, suggesting millions of years of isolated development. It was a treasure chest for science, a once-in-a-lifetime glimpse into a parallel evolutionary path. Some whispered that this might even help us understand how life began, not just here but everywhere. Then there were the ruins. High in the jade-colored mountains, a drone discovered structures, not just natural formations, but angular, symmetrical stonework partially reclaimed by jungle. Pillars with carvings that bore no resemblance to known human languages. Enormous statues half swallowed by vines, faces eroded but noble. The idea took root. Had this continent once been above water? Had an ancient civilization thrived here, only to be swallowed by time and tectonics? Or had we simply forgotten it, lost it in the fog of myth? As excavation began, the past began whispering. Tools of unknown metal alloys, pots sealed with resin that still held traces of edible plant matter, and tablets made from translucent stone, etched with spiral symbols and glyphs that pulsed faintly in moonlight. Linguists speculated wildly. Theories emerged connecting the place to Atlantis, even lost Lemuria. But there were no human remains, nothing to confirm who or what had built these places. Only questions. Still, the world couldn't wait. Private corporations arrived under the guise of research partnerships. Geologists reported veins of rare earth metals, possibly the largest ever discovered. Deep within caverns, energy readings hinted at geothermal or even unexplained sources of power. Pharmaceutical companies, having identified enzymes in local flora with astounding regenerative properties, raced to secure patents. And so began the scramble. Despite warnings from conservationists, temporary settlements popped up along the southern coastline, roads carved through forest corridors, harbors gouged from coral coves. Satellite towns sprouted, complete with drone defenses and surveillance towers. Skirmishes broke out, not just verbal or political, but physical. One clash between rival prospecting teams left 3 dead. Another resulted in the torching of an unauthorized settlement. The United Nations formed the Terra Aurora Council, an oversight committee intended to manage claims, regulate exploration, and ensure the preservation of the land. It worked in theory, but enforcement was weak. Money flowed faster than policy. A few nations, particularly those in the global south, pushed for Terra Aurora to be declared a global commons, untouchable, to be used only for peaceful and scientific purposes. Others, particularly major powers, viewed that as naive. Why should we not benefit from what we've discovered? They argued. We fund the expeditions, we carry the risk. Yet amidst the chaos, something remarkable happened. International teams began working together. Chinese engineers and French environmentalists constructed floating research stations using sustainable algae-based materials. South African botanists and Norwegian doctors collaborated on studying the continent's curative flora. A youth-led organization from 20 countries launched the Terra Pledge, demanding zero extraction policies and proposing a new global constitution for untouched land. Public support grew. Social media campaigns lit up with hashtags like Keep It Wild and Terra Belongs to All. Schools taught new curriculum about the ethics of exploration. And for a moment, the world felt unified, not over borders or wars, but over wonder. But harmony never lasts long. 1 year into colonization, atmospheric sensors detected changes. Pollutants had begun accumulating. Migratory patterns of native birds were disrupted. A parasite, harmless in local animals but deadly to humans, spread to a newly constructed base, causing an outbreak that took 17 lives. And then, perhaps most chillingly, a discovery in the ruins shook everyone. A series of murals deciphered over weeks that seemed to tell the story of a civilization once vibrant, and then vanished. The murals depicted a lush land, cities powered by crystalline structures, skies filled with strange flying craft. But then darkness. Not a war, not disease, but imbalance. An overreach, a tear in the harmony between the land and its stewards. One final panel showed a vast storm swallowing towers and temples alike. Below it, a symbol repeated again and again. A spiral cracked through the middle. Some began to wonder, had Terra Aurora been hidden for a reason? Despite these omens, exploration continued. But now there was caution. New guidelines were implemented. Drones replaced human boots in sensitive areas. Zones were cordoned off as sacred or historically significant. A global fund was established to support continued research and conservation. In schools, children now learned about Terra Aurora alongside the continents they knew. It became a symbol, not of conquest, but of discovery and restraint. Scientists from rival countries published joint papers. Philosophers debated the meaning of finding a new world in an age where we thought there was nothing left to discover. Yet questions remain. Beneath the ice shelf to the north lies a network of tunnels, too geometrically perfect to be natural. Some believe there may be deeper levels, structures, or machines, perhaps even evidence of non-human intelligence. Others warn that we still don't fully understand the atmospheric anomalies surrounding the continent, or why certain frequencies of sound seem to trigger seismic responses in the land itself. But what is certain is this: the age of exploration is not over. Terra Aurora reminded humanity that the Earth still holds secrets, that we are not the masters of this world but its students. It reminded us that every discovery carries a responsibility to preserve, to understand, and to tread lightly. And so we continue. Scientists working by moonlight, poets writing verses about a land of singing trees and glowing rivers, children drawing maps of lands their parents never knew existed. Terra Aurora is more than a continent. It's a mirror, reflecting both our wonder and our flaws. The horizon has shifted, and beyond it, perhaps, waits the next great mystery.